The water keeps receding, and soon Julia finds herself at the bottom of the ocean. Startled by what was happening, she tries to go up, but it's too late. She's stuck there. Casey, who's on the boat, takes off her headphones and realizes what's happening. She shouts at Ben and Tom, but they can't hear her. The boat starts shaking again, and Casey jumps into the water to try and help her mother. As the boat continues to move, Tom finally realizes that the water has receded, and he runs to the edge of the boat to see what's going on. Seeing his wife struggling in the water, he immediately jumps in to help her. Ben, too, realizes the gravity of the situation and calls out for help. He tries to go after them, but the boat is now moving away from Julia. On the other side of the island, people are having a great time at the beach party. They don't realize that what happened to Julia is about to happen to them as well. The water recedes and they're left stranded on the ocean floor. People scream and run away from the receding water. They have no idea that it won't come back for a long time. Some people get hurt in the process, and others are swept away by the current. All of a sudden, the celebration turns into a nightmare. Tom manages to hold Julia's hand and brings her to the surface. They both gasp for air, then swim towards the island. Casey follows them, making sure they don't drown. But the three of them are not the only ones in the water. There are also some people from the party in the water, and they're terrified. One of the guys grabs onto Julia and tries to help her, but Tom gets angry and shoves him away. He wants to protect his wife and daughter, and no one is going to get in his way. The four of them finally make it to the shore, and Tom immediately runs to check if anyone is there to help them. But there is no one. Everyone is scared and running away. Tom tells Julia to stay with Casey while he goes back to the boat to get some supplies. He takes food, water, and medicines from the boat and brings it to his family and the other people on the shore. Meanwhile, Casey tries to cheer everyone up, telling them that the water will be back soon. But deep down, she knows that might not be true. They spend the night on the shore, and when morning comes, they realize that they are truly alone. There is still no sign of the water returning, and no one from the party comes to help them. Even the birds flying overhead seem to be avoiding them. Julia is crying, thinking about how they will survive without water. But Casey comforts her, telling her that they will be okay. She might be just 11 years old, but she knows that if she doesn't stay strong, her mom will lose hope. So she does everything she can to keep their spirits up. Ben walks over to Tom and asks if he has any fishing rods. He wants to go fishing, but Tom tells him that the water has receded and there is no point. But Ben doesn't listen and takes a rod anyway. He walks toward the dead trees and casts his line into the water. To his surprise, he gets a bite. He pulls the line and struggles to pull in his catch. It's a big fish, and Ben has no idea how to handle it. Just then, Tom comes over to help him. Together, they bring the fish back to shore, and everyone cheers. This gives them hope that they will survive. The next morning, Casey wakes up early and runs to the shore. She wants to see if the water has returned, but she's disappointed once again. She comes back home, sad that their luck has run out. But then she remembers the fish that her brother caught the day before. Maybe they can eat that. When she tells everyone about it, they're all very thankful. They have food, and now all they need is water. But where will they find it? They walk around the island looking for water and finally find a small stream. They're very happy, but the water is dirty and full of debris. Still, they have no other choice. So they decide to drink it anyway. They find some coconuts and use the water to make it into coconut water. But they need more water. So they head back to the stream to fill up some bottles. Days pass, and they start to forget about the outside world. They think the water will never come back. But one day, Casey wakes up and sees that the sea has returned. She screams with joy and runs to wake everyone else up. Finally, they can go back home. But they're not the same people who got on that boat. They've changed and grown from the experience. Previously on the O'Learys, Casey and her mom, Julia, went swimming off the sugar scoop while her dad, Tom, and her brother, Ben, stayed behind on the boat. Casey promised to keep an eye on her mom while she was swimming, but instead got distracted by her headphones and didn't notice Julia drifting away. Meanwhile, Tom started hearing Julia's cries for help and immediately jumped in after her. Luckily, he managed to grab onto her before she drowned. Then, Ben started the engine so they could all head back to the boat. And in the end, they were all safe. Tom was really angry at Casey. He said, "Where was your attention? I told you that when your mother goes swimming, you need to keep an eye on her." Casey apologized, saying that she had her headphones on. So Tom decided to teach her a lesson, telling everyone that from now on, no one should go swimming without letting the others know first. They all agreed, and since it was getting late, they began preparing for Ben's birthday. Later that evening, after the birthday party, Casey got a video call from her boyfriend. She told him about how they were all having fun on the boat, but he warned her to get back to the surface soon because the TV news was reporting that something extraordinary was going to happen globally. Casey thanked him for letting her know and continued talking to him. But then she noticed in the background of his call a massive storm approaching the city. She started feeling a bit anxious because she realized that they were not in a safe location. While she was still talking to her boyfriend, Casey's parents and brother began checking everything on the boat to make sure that it was safe. But they couldn't believe what they were seeing. There were numerous whales and sharks surrounding the boat. This was strange because whales and sharks were never found in this area. Just then, Casey's connection with her boyfriend cut off. She told her parents about the storm and the sharks, and they all started thinking of ways to get rid of the sharks. Casey's dad, Tom, grabbed an oar and hit the water, trying to scare the sharks away. One particularly large shark swam close to the boat, almost as if it was trying to peek inside. Tom kept hitting the water with the oar, shouting at the top of his lungs. Finally, the shark swam away, but unfortunately, more kept coming in its place. Her mom, Julia, suggested that they turn on the boat's engine and leave. They did so and headed as far away as possible from the city, hoping the sharks would stop chasing them. Meanwhile, on land, strange things were beginning to happen. People were running around in panic, believing that the end of the world was near. Cars were abandoned in the middle of the road. Some people were even seen carrying their refrigerators and TVs out of their houses. Back on the boat, Casey and her family were still being chased by the sharks, but they didn't realize it because they were too busy arguing. Casey was yelling at her brother, Ben, for not telling her about the storm earlier. Tom was yelling at Julia for not paying attention to Casey while she was swimming. And Julia was yelling at Tom for not fixing the hole in the boat. All of a sudden, the engine stopped working. Casey looked back and saw hundreds of sharks approaching their boat. She screamed, "We're doomed! Will Casey and her family survive the night? Will the sharks attack them?" Find out in the next episode of The O'Learys. In the depths of despair, amidst an unforgiving ocean and relentless pursuit, a mother's love shines brightly, guiding her and her 2 children toward a glimmer of hope. As the relentless killer closes in, time seems to stand still, every heartbeat echoing the urgency of their plight. But as fate would have it, a chance encounter with a curious sea creature momentarily distracts the pursuer, giving Julia a precious window of opportunity. With hearts pounding in unison, she gathers her children close, urging them to move swiftly and silently. Adrenaline courses through their veins as they navigate the treacherous waters, the threat of danger lurking around every bend. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ocean, Tom, now at peace, finds himself in a realm where tranquility and serenity intertwine. His spirit soars through the vast expanse of the underwater sanctuary, observing the beauty that surrounds him. As he watches Julia and the children from afar, a sense of pride and love fills his heart. Despite the physical distance, their bond remains unbroken, connecting them in ways beyond the confines of the watery grave. Deep within the ocean's embrace, Julia, Ben, and Casey emerge from their hiding place, their eyes wide with wonder as they gaze upon the extraordinary sight before them. The submarine, a beacon of hope, stands majestically amidst the coral reef, guarded by a pod of playful dolphins. As they cautiously approach, the dolphins, sensing their presence, gather closer, their friendly demeanor putting the children at ease. With gentle nudges and curious glances, the dolphins guide them towards the submarine, their playful energy paving the way for a new beginning. However, their moment of respite is short-lived as the chilling sound of footsteps echoes through the water, shattering the tranquility of their newfound sanctuary. The killer is closing in, his every move a step closer to ending their desperate escape. Trapped between the relentless pursuer and the uncharted waters of the open sea, Julia's protective instincts kick in. With unwavering determination, she shields her children, ready to confront the danger head-on. Her heart pounding in her chest, she prepares to face whatever challenges lie ahead, ready to sacrifice everything to ensure their survival. Suddenly, a massive tidal wave crashes into the ocean, shaking the very foundations of their world. The force of the wave is overwhelming, threatening to drag everything in its path to the depths of the sea. As the water temperature begins to rise, a sense of urgency grips Julia. She realizes that the toxic sludge from the depths is being stirred, polluting the once pristine waters. Acting swiftly, she dives into the murky depths, desperately searching for a way to cleanse the water and save her children. With each passing moment, the water temperature climbs higher, posing a perilous threat to Ben and Casey's survival. Time seems to slow down as Julia frantically explores the ocean floor, seeking a solution to this pressing danger. Just when hope seems to dwindle, she discovers a cave adorned with vibrant coral formations. With renewed determination, she makes her way to the cave's interior, hoping it holds the key to purifying the toxic water. Inside the cave, Julia finds an abundance of clean water cascading from its depths. With a surge of relief, she quickly gathers water in her hands and rushes back to the surface. As she resurfaces, she encounters a pod of dolphins who, recognizing the gravity of the situation, offer their assistance. Together, they work tirelessly, the dolphins helping Julia transport the fresh water to Ben and Casey. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ocean, Tom's spirit watches over the family, his love and guidance serving as a guiding light. With the water purified and the children safe, Julia's resolve strengthens. Guided by intuition, she leads them towards the submarine, hoping it will provide sanctuary from the killer. As they approach, they notice a small opening near the submarine's engine. With a mix of caution and determination, they slip through the opening, finding themselves inside the submarine. However, their moment of relief is short-lived as the entire submarine is suddenly lifted up by the monstrous wave. The wave carries the submarine to the surface, revealing a city that is completely destroyed. As Julia steps out of the submarine, she finds herself in a world that is eerily silent. The once bustling city is now a scene of utter devastation, suggesting that humanity has been wiped out from the face of the earth.